Report circulating in the Kremlin today states that Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI, forces loyal to President Donald Trump have just conducted a massive raid against one of the largest body part death factories in the U.S. after it was linked to both Hillary Clinton and CIA gunrunner and human smuggler Stephen Paddock, who was the designated patsy for the Las Vegas massacre, while at the same time, the deep state attacks against Trump over his supposed collusion with Russia are now being called an embarrassment to America after they're being exposed for the lies they really are. Note: some words and/or phrases appearing in quotes in this report are English-language approximations of Russian words, phrases having no exact counterpart. According to this report, during the past 24 hours, FBI forces from both Las Vegas and Washington, D.C. joined with their counterparts in Portland, Oregon, and descended en masse upon one of America's largest wholesalers of human body parts named Medcure, whose business is described as soliciting thousands of Americans to donate their bodies to science each year, and who then profits by dissecting the parts and distributing them for use by researchers and educators throughout the world. Medcure was founded in 2006 by David Urbina and Janice Losinox, this report details, but became highly concerning to FBI investigators in Washington, D.C., when they discovered that the international law firm Perkins Coie had been paying over $100,000 a year to a Beaverton, Oregon company named Wood Furniture PDX, whose sole owner is Medcure founder Janice Losinox, with its supposed woodworking factory location at 4016 Southwest 96th Avenue, Beaverton, Oregon, being no such thing as it's a single residence mansion valued at over $550,000, with it also being important to note that Perkins Coie was directed by both the Democratic National Committee and Hillary Clinton's campaign to retain Fusion GPS, in April of 2016, to compile the fake Russian dossier on President Trump. While FBI investigators in Washington, D.C. were becoming highly concerned as to why Hillary Clinton's law firm was paying Medcure founder Janice Losinox hundreds of thousands of dollars, this report continues, FBI investigators in Las Vegas, at the same time, became shockingly alarmed after they discovered that CIA gunrunner and human smuggler Stephen Paddock made regular deliveries to the Medcure facility in Henderson, Nevada, and though SVR intelligence analysts do not suggest that Paddock was using Medcure as a body dumping station, they do stunningly note that Nevada has the worst laws governing human remains in the entire U.S., whose elected or appointed sheriffs are mandated by law to be coroners, even without medical education, and who are, also, the sole determiner as to the cause of death, thus making this state the perfect, ideal location to rid oneself of the unwanted bodies of those killed during illegal human smuggling operations. As these FBI forces loyal to President Trump continue closing in on Hillary Clinton, and all of her criminal accomplices, too, this report says, the deep state's defense of her by falsely claiming Trump had colluded with Russia has now collapsed into what is now being compared to a hound of the Baskervilles chasing its tail event, where the hound has caught its own tail and devoured itself from behind to the point that it has become a deformed biped and is now making America the laughingstock of nations the world over. To why the entire world is laughing at these insane Americans, this report explains, is due to their all knowing the most important simple fact underlying the entire Trump-Russia deep state fairy tale, and which is the two central pillars of this fable, the Democrats being hacked, and the Russia dossier, were entirely made-up lies bought and paid for by Hillary Clinton and her Democrats in order to soothe their being defeated by President Trump. Where in normal times such nonsensical claims of Trump colluding with Russia would have been relegated to the dustbin of history where it belonged, this report details, the American people were, instead, blindsided by their propaganda mainstream media, that operates as the communications arm of the Democratic Party, and who were shockingly being paid by Hillary Clinton's Russia dossier creator Fusion GPS to spread these made-up lies as if they were truth, with many of these supposed mainstream journalists, also, being on the direct payroll of Fusion GPS itself. Even to the deep state's supposed triumph of discovering that a Russian lawyer had met with top Trump officials before the election, this report continues, Even it has now been exposed as being a setup, as this lawyer has now been discovered to have met with Hillary Clinton's fake Russia dossier firm Fusion GPS both prior to, and after, this meeting occurring. Though the highly respected, and award-winning international affairs journalist Joe Lauria attempted to warn the readers of the leftist Huffington Post that Hillary Clinton's cash for trash fake Trump-Russia collusion fairy tale was all made up, this report says, the Huffington Post quickly deleted his article, and replaced it with one accusing former Democratic National Committee leader Donna Brazile of now colluding with Russia, and whose journalistic perceptions have become so acute. SVR analysts are warning that the Huffington Post may soon discover that President Putin has ties to Russia too. Failing to see any humor at all in this entire Russia hysteria mess created by Hillary Clinton and her leftist mainstream propaganda media allies, though, this report concludes, is CIA Director Mike Pompeo, who has just met, under orders from President Trump, with one of the most feared by the deep state U.S. intelligence officials in America today named William Binney, who, along with other top U.S. intelligence officials, provided Trump with the proof that the DNC hadn't been hacked by Russia, with CIA Director Pompeo, afterwards, then taking what is being called the unusual step of having the CIA's Counterintelligence Mission Center, which would likely play a role in any inquiries by the agency into Russian election meddling, report directly to him, and who yesterday, too, began a massive hiring drive of spies to man his Directorate of Operation, formerly clandestine service, and that he stunningly opened to Americans' high school students, too, nearly all of whom are part of Generation Z. The Security Council has previously warned will soon join President Trump to cleanse America.